And good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome into Morning Invest. Coming up on today's show, the stimulus check economy is booming. No wonder President Biden wants more stimulus. Bitcoin is ready to make a massive move. I'm going to show you the chart so you can make some money on that. And we've got a guest on the show live today. We're going to talk about the 3 best places to invest in 2021. You're going to love to hear his story. It's really inspirational, so you do not want to miss that. And we'll have some of your pet photos coming up at the end of the show. So I hope all of you sent them in today. So we got a lot of them. It looks like many of you did send them in, so that's good news. So Morning Invest starts right now. So welcome to Morning Invest, everyone. I'm Clayton Morris. This is the show that teaches you how to invest in yourself so you can become financially free. We are live right here every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, so good to see everyone. I want to start with, and David is here as well. He is trying a little new interface today.
I'm down here in the corner. Yoo-hoo.
Hi, look at you.
Jazz hands.
Producer David down here in the corner.
Oh, wait. Now I'm gonna make you look bad. There we go. I'm up here now.
Can I lift you up? Can I pick you up and move you to a corner?
Nope, I have to. I think I can move over here, and I can move over here, but
I was gonna say, what if I flick you? Can I flick you?
Yep, ready, flick me.
Ready? Oh, there we go. Love it. All right, let's take a look at the markets this morning and Bitcoin. Let's pay attention to what's happening with Bitcoin. We're in a moment right now, and so we'll keep our eye closely here on Bitcoin at 50, 54 right now. We could see a huge explosion to the upside on Bitcoin, so we're keeping our eye closely on this pattern that's about to emerge. We'll show that a little bit later in the show. Ethereum also still looking really sharp. 2,700. New estimates and analysts pointing towards 20,000 or even higher on Ethereum prices. And we'll talk to our guest today about Ethereum. We're going to get a sense of the crypto markets when he joins us a little bit later. And we're going to talk some gold too, because gold prices still hovering around that 1767 range, 1770 range. What is going on with gold? Is it going to start to move soon here? Are we in a bear market for gold or bullish? What's going on here? And then silver also kind of hanging out there right where gold is now, similarly. So we'll talk about that and more coming up on the show in just a little bit. So that's where we're looking at. And we'll get some crazy Amazon prices today, too. We're going to see where Amazon is after they recorded their earnings yesterday and just blew everyone away on expectations. Frankly, the entire tech sector, Facebook, Amazon, you name it. Crazy. So President Biden is out there now trying to sell this new infrastructure plan and this new massive stimulus plan. Will we see additional stimulus checks? We'll find out probably in short order once this thing hits these progressives in the Senate and the House of Representatives. Let's talk about the economy this morning because Q1 GDP was massive. Absolute massive. Economic output grew at 6.4% annualized in the first 3 months of the year. And according to the Commerce Department, they said much of the growth was driven by Americans spending their stimulus checks. Imagine that. And guess what? Personal consumption also grew 10.7%. That's the second fastest pace since the 1960s. Since the 1960s. Aren't we in a pandemic? Americans took their stimulus checks and their money, not all stimulus, and they hit the road. They went out and they bought cars, they bought bikes, they bought furniture, they bought other consumer goods. Meanwhile, the government, is footing the bill for vaccines, which has helped businesses reopen. That seems to have worked in all of this to boost GDP as things are starting to return to normal. And government debt, though, of course, is also rising. Meanwhile, if we look at some of these stocks right now, we had Tesla, we had Apple, we had Microsoft, Facebook, and now take a look at Amazon this morning. This is crazy. Amazon up again this morning in pre-market. And expectations are for Amazon to continue this upward trend over 5,000 Amazon stock. No one can even compete. They tripled their earnings. We'll look a little deeper at that in a second. They all recorded record-breaking Q1 earnings. Amazon's profits were triple what they were in Q1 of 2020. Tripled their profits. They reported annual profits in 2020 of $26 billion. That's more than the company made in the previous 3 years combined. Wrap your head around that. Now the U.S. economy is less than 1% of its pre-COVID peak. Can you think about that? We're now literally back to less than 1% where we were before the pandemic hit. And yet, watching people losing their homes through evictions, I mean, talk about a K-shaped recovery, right? And things are just wildly out of whack as Wall Street is happy, tech companies are exploding with wealth, trillionaires, billionaires are making trillions of dollars over and over. They added, I think, upwards of like $70 trillion to their net worth. And all of this, as experts are pointing to in this data this morning, is all because of Congress and the Fed for leading what appears to be this K-shaped recovery and V-shaped in a lot of other areas. COVID cases are also falling after we had that really uncomfortably high level for a few weeks. New coronavirus infections in the U.S. dropped 16% this morning, according to the data. That was in the past week. It's 55,000 daily cases now versus 66,000 from last week. Even in Michigan, which recorded alarming surges lately, many of you who are from Michigan, if you're from Michigan, drop it in the chat, let me know, fell by about 30%. This weekend, 100 million Americans will be fully vaccinated. And then we're already, halfway through this earnings season. So S&P 500 companies have reported, just looking at some of the S&P numbers this morning, closing with a record high. They've reported their strongest earnings growth in more than a decade. Big tech, of course, we had Alphabet, Facebook, Amazon. They've all shown that all of this shift to digital purchasing, buying, is only accelerating. And that's why I think you're seeing such strong numbers now for Amazon this morning, because this is only going to continue. Let me ask you in the chat, do you think we're going to go back to an anachronistic society where we aren't buying things digitally? I think like a box arrives at our house like every other day. I don't know about you, David. Oh, I'm sure you, because all the cables and stuff you're ordering for your office.
Oh yeah, I used to have Amazon show up here about every day, but I'm over that now. I haven't ordered. I think I've gone almost a month with no Amazon deliveries.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you pull that off?
It was hard. And plus Jennifer was out of town. And so I was living the bachelor life. She gets back Saturday, so I'll probably start ordering again.
So that's what you do. That's what you do when she's around. Like, I'm not going out anymore, so I'm just going to jump on Amazon.
Yep.
I'm going to order some more electronics.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be the opposite, but no.
Right. McDonald's also said to have sales return to pre-COVID levels. So all of these, companies, and certain areas are getting hit though. As now we're looking at this recovery, I want to ask our guest today on the show about that, because these stay-at-home sectors, the stay-at-home stocks, we saw eBay getting hammered because people are maybe running out of their stimulus money, so they're not buying stuff on eBay as much. What other areas? Like Peloton also down. Maybe people just, now that it's reopening, they're not on their Peloton bike anymore. Full reopening. Yesterday, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said the city will fully reopen in New York City for business on July 1st. By the way, I don't know if you've ever been to New York City in July. It's like stepping into a sewer. It's nasty. July in New York City is just awful. I used to work there, and you do not want to go in the subway in the steaming hot summer of New York City summers. So great, they're going to reopen like in the stinkiest time of the year, the hottest time of the year, when everyone actually normally gets out of town through the summer. So reopen 14 months after the city was paralyzed by the COVID-19 wave. We have full economic recoverings opening for other places. Cruise lines are going to restart by July, the CDC said yesterday. So, we're seeing the situation in the U.S. is highly encouraging. But in India, it's only getting worse as variants there are running rampant throughout the country. And scientists don't expect the brutal second wave to peak until middle of May. And hopefully we can keep that crap out of the United States. But it is just crazy right now. So as we're reopening and seeing these cases drop, good signs. But, it's interesting with this vaccine, too. We've seen 60% of people who've gotten a vaccine, or 60% of people who have gotten infected recently already had a vaccine. So what the heck is the vaccine then for? It's like a head scratcher, right? People are arguing this data back and forth as to whether or not that data is accurate. But nevertheless, how many people are being reinfected after they have already had a vaccine? So, hey, I want to tell you about our show spot. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the number that I was reading was there's a reported 6,000 cases of people who have gotten the virus after the vaccine. Was the last count, and that was like last week, I believe.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't think we know fully yet how this data is going to shake out, and whether or not we're going to have to get another vaccine year after year after year. If it's going to have to be a continual flu vaccine kind of a thing, well, I don't know. We'll have to see on that. We've got so much more to talk to on the show, but I want to tell you about our friends over at Webull, where you can get 2 free stocks right now just for signing up for Webull, and valued up to between $800 and $1,600. But the best part is they're now doing crypto. So not only can you can buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, and they have also added Dogecoin as well. But it's a great platform. Their desktop version of the app is fantastic on the Mac. So you check it out. Go to morninginvest.com/Webull, open a free account, and get 2 free stocks. And you can convert those stocks, if you don't like them, into Bitcoin. That's all you got to do. Pretty simple to do. All right, everyone. So I have a treat for everyone today, and I think you're going to both really be inspired and enjoy this interview. It's inspirational, and I think the information we're going to talk about today is going to be pretty valuable. So our next guest's father went bankrupt 3 times in his life. When our guest was 13, that was when the first time his father went bankrupt. And then again, when he was 18, his father went bankrupt. And then when he was 23, his father went bankrupt. This was dramatic, obviously. I remember when I was 12 years old, my father lost his job. I was traumatized by it. Imagine that. So he took that trauma and then he turned it into a triumph and built multiple businesses and a huge investment portfolio at the age of 16. And 5 years ago, he decided to empower others by launching the wealthresearchgroup.com, which is a free newsletter, which I read all the time. I religiously read it. They were covering Bitcoin back when it was $450 a coin. And Ethereum was $12. So yeah, they've been ahead of the curve on all of this for a long time. Lior Gantz is my guest today. Welcome to the program, my friend. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Welcome. So give our audience a little background here in your expertise in your area. We're going to talk about, we were texting earlier about, what value could we bring to the audience today. We were thinking about areas right now in this kind of tumultuous marketplace where people could be putting their money and actually seeing real value. So we're going to get there in a moment, but just give our audience a little bit of background beyond what I talked about and try to inspire our audience a little bit to take action in investing.
Yeah, I think one thing to clarify, I started to invest when I was 16. Obviously, when my father went bankrupt at 13, I went and did some babysitting and painted decks and tutored basketball, kind of upsold these parents that I did babysitting for. And I told them I can also coach your kids basketball and stuff. So I'm 16. I have this money saved because I'm literally going to the bank every time I'm putting it in. And the banker's like, you can make your money work for you. This is June of 2000. So literally the dot-com bubble just starting to burst. And valuations actually, in hindsight, look good. And he's saying, get your parents here. They'll need to sign a waiver because you're a minor, and you can start, trading equities. So that got me started in investing. And I was like, well, what should I do? And he said, have you heard of Warren Buffett? No. Have you heard of Peter Lynch? No. Well, you should buy books and start reading. And so I was like one of those kids in high school where you have the history book, and then inside of it, you have like a Warren Buffett book, and I'm highlighting everything. The teacher probably thinks I'm all in on World War I or something. So that's how I got started. I got started investing really early. And I'll tell you, in my house with my father's ups and downs, etc., that got me really interested in books about investing and entrepreneurship and business and risk. And so I read a ton, and I still read, but those first 2-3 years, I was like reading like 3 books a month, 3-4 books a month, just trying to get my head straight on why this is happening to a seemingly intelligent person. What's going wrong? So yeah, that's how I got started investing. But that trauma actually helped me in 2008 because I saw, America is on sale. I got into real estate early on, and in late 2015, early 2016, I don't know if you remember, but the Federal Reserve, raised interest rates for the first time after many years of cuts and zero rates, etc. December 15, 2015, they raised rates. And I remember telling my partner, this is the biggest change in the investment community. We should make people aware of this. And then we started wealthresearchgroup.com as a free financial newsletter. And our first call was, look, this means the bottom for gold. And literally, if you plot back the chart, you go back to December 15, 2015, you look at it, it's $1,053 an ounce. And that was the bottom. So when we launched the newsletter, we were like, guys, this is the bottom for gold. And yeah, it's been five and a half years.
Well, let me put up gold right here now on the screen and take a look. This is that's Bitcoin. Sorry. Here's gold. So I'm curious where you see this going right now. I mean, because it's been hanging out at this 1770 range now and just kind of hanging there. But I've been talking to a number of different gold experts recently who see this heading. You know, some are hesitant to give price action, price targets. Others are saying, I see this going well over $2,000 as the U.S. continues to print money like it's going out of style. Where do you see it?
So, Clayton, two things just to preface this, because I've heard your show in the first 10 minutes. Just want to give you a few takes on what I heard you comment on. One, about the vaccine. Something interesting is to think about the CEO of Pfizer and Moderna, and just think about the global scrutiny on their vaccine and how much lawsuit and liability and just pressure there's on these people. So if I get into their heads, if I'm doing anything, it's a weak vaccine. Well, you need another boost, because the flip side is people getting all sorts of joint pains and whatever else. So it makes sense that there will be a third one or a fourth one. Just also, if you think about cash flow and such, obviously getting a boost and a boost and a boost is obviously better for the company itself. That's just on my take. I have no idea if that's true, but I'm just getting into their heads. Right. And then you talk about V-shape, K-shape, etc. The Federal Reserve, and this ties into gold and everything. The Federal Reserve, what it does is it's almost like the doorman at this great playground, and you got the big kids, the bullies. They're first in line because they bully and they get first in line, and then you got the weaker kids at the back. Everyone wants to come into the playground. It's closed, and they're the doorman, and they're like, guys, we have all these new toys. Here you go. And so the bullies go in first. They enjoy all these toys. And by the time, the weak kids come in, everything is like, it's taken because they took all the good ones. And all that's how the Federal Reserve, that's how the Federal Reserve operates. It lends money into the economy, which goes first to the rich and to the corporations because they have the best credit and the best everything. And then it's supposed to trickle down. What is trickle down is, here, I'm done with this great toy. By the way, I chewed it off a little bit, the battery's out and everything. Here you go. So that's almost the analogy of the last 10, 12 years here. You got the Federal Reserve monetizing debt, which just means getting money to the corporations first. There's a logic to that says if you give money to the people that are already wealthy and are very savvy, then they'll know what to do with it in a way that benefits the people at the back as well. But it doesn't always have to be that way. In fact, sometimes it isn't. So now you see a different approach, which is the trickle up, or from Main Street to Wall Street, where you get the government to come in and say, no. The doorsman, he only opens the door. What we need is to line these people up differently, where the weak are first, or maybe there's a different blend, and now you open the playground and it's much more fair. So that's what they're doing. But remember that both the doorman and the government, whoever you want to make that in this analogy, when they buy these toys, they have to borrow money to buy these toys. So this playground is fun and everything, but we're going to pay for it down the road because toys aren't free. So just keep that all in mind. And obviously that plays into Bitcoin and gold and everything else. It's fun to have a playground. Right. It's you have to pay for that playground. With gold is a derivative, Clayton. Gold is a derivative of negative interest rates, or what we call real interest rates. So when you look at the price of gold, you need to look at it comparatively to other things. It doesn't trade on its own in a vacuum. It trades as compared to other things. So if I'm a corporation, if I'm a government, if I'm an individual, and I have different asset classes that I can either invest in or park my savings in, I have to choose which one to do it at. There's an incentive to do it with precious metals, specifically with gold, if interest rates are declining, and especially if they're negative. How do you measure interest rates? Well, there's the 10-year bond. That's the barometer for the asset universe of this day and age. So when you look at the 10-year, if you want to pull it up, you'll see it's about 1.65. I haven't looked this morning, but as of last night, 1.65%. So if you lend money to Washington until 2031, you'll get 1.65% a year. Now you're saying to yourself, that's nothing, or 1.63. You're saying to yourself, that's nothing. Well, it's nothing compared to other things, but compared to other governments, if you look at the German bond, the Japanese bond, where you're at, in England, everywhere, in France, etc., it's much higher. So the U.S. is willing to pay more to its lenders. But when you look at inflation, it's at 1.8, 2.2, depending on how you measure it. People saying much higher. So realistically, in real terms, you're losing money. Your purchasing power is declining. It's a sort of tax on you. And so gold is relevant. How relevant is the question? And so on August 5th, 2020, when gold hit the all-time high of 2,063 an ounce, the 10-year bond was yielding 0.5%, the lowest in its history. If you can broaden that chart and show people. And so it's rallied from 0.5% to 1.6%. That's a 200% move in like 6-7 months. That's big. So if you're asking yourself why gold isn't rallying, it's because real interest rates are actually rising. What will make this change and flip back towards more favorable type of investment for gold? It would be either for these interest rates to stabilize, in other words, for other governments, for example, to raise their own bonds, so they're more competitive with the United States. That means people will sell American bonds and will buy, Japanese or German or etc. bonds. Or you need inflation to rise. Inflation rising means real interest rates are actually more negative, and that could be what we're going to start seeing, obviously, in the next 2-3 months, because compared to last year, it's going to come out like hot.
Right.
Etc.
Well, if we're being honest, I mean, we're already kind of sitting on basically negative interest rates as it is, right? If you've taken into account inflation, you take into account inflation, you take into account the amount of debt that this government is sitting on, the amount of the printing of money. They've already, they've printed 25% of all of the currency ever created in American history was printed last year in the year 2020. Mm-hmm. So our dollars are not worth what we think they are when you're putting them in a bank. Of course, they're losing value. And Europe is already in negative interest rates. So how long until you see us fully into the negative interest rate zone?
So in America, actually, you are in negative interest rates zone. If you take the 10-year bond, then you can just look at what's called TIPS. But the drama of it is that everyone's already accustomed to it, because negative interest rates in Europe are for 10 years already. Japan, 10 years already. The United States, if you remember, Jay Powell kept saying, we will not do official negative interest rates. In other words, we will not lower the Fed funds rate to less than 0. And they've kept their word on this. But the real interest rates, which is 10-year bond minus inflation, that's already negative. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. Also keep in mind, gold started this system, the fiat monetary system. And by the way, if you go to our website, to wealthresearchgroup.com/gold playbook, it's like a special report that we put together on this subject for your viewers. You'll see that gold started this journey on August 15th, 1971. Nixon came out on national TV And he said, look, we're just going to temporarily stop the convertibility of your $35 to 1 ounce of gold. Back then, you can go and exchange that worldwide. So what happened was in the 50s and 60s, because of the Korean War and the Vietnamese War, there was in Europe, they were starting to say, hey, there is no way that the government of the United States is buying so much gold and spending so much money that they're keeping this 35-to-1 ratio. There's no way. They're definitely cooking the books. And so there was a lot of pressure to audit the gold in the American, in the government vaults. And so instead of doing that and saying, hey, we cheated, we're defaulting on the dollar convertibility to gold, they just said, we're temporarily going to stop that. You can actually Google, you can free search on YouTube that speech by Nixon. Just see Nixon closes gold window. And so we're approaching the 50-year anniversary of that. From 35 an ounce to 1767 today, man, that is almost a 60-fold move in gold. What that means is that same ounce of gold, it literally is the same ounce. So that literally shows you what has happened to the dollar because it's the same ounce of gold. It's not like Coca-Cola where you bought a share back then and 50 years later the company's like 50 times bigger. So there was a value creation. In this case, it's the same asset that just shows you the world is different. Wow. And so in my case, what I did, Clayton, is I just basically said, look, gold to me is a hedge against everything, inflation, catastrophe, a worldwide pandemic, etc. Whatever you want to call it, it's just a hedge. So I calculated how much 1 month worth of my burn rate for the family costs, and I multiplied that by 24. So I said, look, if there's a 2-year depression, I just want to have enough savings in precious metals so that if everything runs dry, I'm good. And so I converted 2 years worth of my current living standards into gold, physical gold, about 80%, and physical silver, 20%. And that to me is almost like a duffel bag, like a start over fund. And that keeps me comfortable. Now, on top of that, if I want to speculate, if I want to trade on gold or gold equities or silver options or whatever, I'm more than welcome to do that. That has nothing to do with this mentality of like a start over fund or stuff for a rainy day. Yeah. So I don't.
So you see gold, you see silver. I mean, we were talking about some like 3 places people could put their money. Gold, precious metals as a store of value. And we've seen it before. We saw it in Greece. We saw people went to try to get their money out of the ATMs in Greece during the finance, and they couldn't. And the banks were like, we don't even have your money, because it's all paper. It's all fake anyway. So actually having physical gold. Now, is this physical gold you're keeping personally, or do you have like it in a Swiss vault somewhere, or do you have stock?
Let me give you the address.
Right. What's the address?
So,
no, but you know what I mean. Do you own physical gold?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not
absolutely.
owning paper. You don't have paper gold.
I do. I actually look for this 2 year. I'm talking about physical gold. So you can buy it from a bullion dealer, and they actually tell you, do you want to ship it to your house? Absolutely not. Do you want to ship it to like a depository or a Brinks or whatever? And then you tell them your preferred choice is obviously will cost you money. So when you buy physical gold and you don't store it at your house, it will cost you storage fees. So just keep that in mind. You basically want the appreciation of your gold to be higher than these fees, and it usually is because gold has in the past 50 years has accumulated at about a 6.6% clip year over year, and obviously nobody charges 6% storage fees. It's negligible. So that's one thing. I do own gold equity, so gold companies, gold mining companies. That's in my investment portfolio. That's where I want to buy it for a certain price and sell it later for a higher price. And I also have gold managed money. So in other words, with a fund that specifically does precious metals or precious metals equities, and that's a fund. But the different mindset is here. I'm looking to just conserve purchasing power. Here, I'm trying to grow my wealth. It's a different approach. But yeah, physical. By the way, Clinton, there's a way to actually just buy the physical, but with one click of the mouse, and it's just a physically backed ETF. So if you go to our newsletter, for example, we talk about that ETF all the time. It's literally 1-to-1. It's exactly like owning the real thing. You can actually take delivery if you want down the road, etc. So there are these kinds of instruments because the COMEX has been so controversial to your audience. The COMEX is the paper exchange. So if you remember in March 2020, when you wanted to actually buy physical gold, physical silver, there was a big premium on it, way above the spot price. And that spot price is like the paper price for it. So you can buy that at X, and then if you want the real thing, you had to pay like X plus 50%. It was a really big difference between the real thing and the paper, because these ETFs are leveraged, as are all commodity markets. They're all leveraged because there's futures and derivatives and whatnot. So, and that plays into what you saw in January with the silver squeeze, for example, where they tried to squeeze the market, the silver market. What they try to do basically is to take advantage of this leverage that exists in the commodities paper markets.
I want to get your take on something we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is we're seeing this incredible GDP. We're seeing unbelievable growth. We're almost back to 1% below where we were pre-pandemic in the U.S. economy. So, and at least the Commerce Department of the United States is saying it's because of stimulus. It's because of all of this injection of capital into the system. You guys put together a free report. Let's put it on the screen here. This is the free report that you guys put together. And if you guys go to wealthresearchgroup.com/UBI, you can learn more about this. Why are you bullish on UBI, stimulus, and into this economy? Tell us about what you found and what's in this report.
Absolutely. So I think what a lot of people need to understand is that with economics, not with finance, but with economics, there are only theories. So higher taxes mean lower this, lower taxes means higher that. It's all theories. And they're all relevant until they're not relevant anymore. I can list hundreds, if not thousands, of theories about capitalism, about how a government should run, that are all irrelevant today. In fact, even the Fed all the time says, the Phillips curve doesn't work anymore, or this thing doesn't work anymore. We can't judge unemployment by this anymore. It's all theories, and they're only relevant for a short amount of time. It could be a few years, it could be a decade, etc. And then they're not relevant anymore. And so things change. If you were to tell a person 40 years ago that the United States government will now have $28 trillion of national debt and that they'll pay an interest rate of 1% on it, you would have been put to an asylum. You're mad. What are you talking about? And the rest of the world will actually have negative rates. They would have instituted you, right? So these theories can be absolutely wrong, and you never can live your life based on them. You can't sacrifice your well-being because of one theory, or gloom and doom, like a doom theory or something like that. So I think what's happening right now in the United States is it's almost like a forest fire, right? If you look at a forest fire, what are you seeing? You're seeing destruction. You're seeing all these trees, and your heart goes out, and you're crying because of this beautiful. But actually, a forest fire, if you Google it, there are thousands and thousands of forest fires every day across the world, and they're so healthy. They're healthy because they burn all of the dead material, and then you have the ground and the soil to build a better forest. And that's what happens in nature. And we should look to nature to understand what happened right now. So nobody foresaw this, right? It was a black swan event, what we call a black swan event. For all intents and purposes, without getting into any conspiracies, a lab, somebody escaped from a lab, very unfortunate, et cetera, et cetera. So what did you see? You saw everyone adapting to what's going on, every country in their own little world with their own thinking. This country cherishes rights, so they won't do a lockdown. This country cherishes, health above everything, so they put a cost of $1 million on every person, and they don't mind closing down everything as long as they don't have any deaths, etc. Every country went their own way. But it's almost like a forest fire because the economy was running strong in the Trump years. And not only in the United States, it was like booming everywhere after a decade of slow grind. And a lot of people were employed. Companies were doing very well. You got this forest fire, but now you have a new forest. But remember, some trees got burned. And so we have to take care of them. And that's where this UBI comes in. Because if you were a big tree, now you're a little plant, you may need some help. And so if you can create that kind of a scenario where I would say the damage to the economy, to interest rates, to the way the government operates are not adverse, and you can come up with this new strategy that helps more people get involved, where you basically what you want to call inclusive capitalism, then we should try it. We should see what happens. The people that are against
all the studies so far have shown it's been a success. I mean, everywhere that they've tried universal basic income, in all of these test cases all around the world, including Israel, including Iran, by the way, has tried UBI, and in every case it's worked.
Yeah, it's by the way, that's in the report. I pulled together a lot of these studies. So if you looked at that download report that you put on screen, that's exactly what's in there. But it's also a marriage of capitalism. So we're not gonna sacrifice capitalism because that doesn't work. That also has always failed, right? Just giving away money with no purpose and coming down on capitalism. That's not the way. We want people to think. We want entrepreneurs. We want people like Clayton that come up in the morning and say, I'm going to give a show. I'm going to give a show. I'm going to give a better show than all these corporate news sites. I'm going to do it on you. So we want entrepreneurs. That's what advances the world. We don't want to forfeit that. But we also have to think that, man, these entrepreneurs today are so smart that they're able to replace all these workers with robots, 3D printing, AI, and this has taken away people that are in their 40s with families, with kids, and now their job doesn't exist anymore. And so because the world this is not like in the agriculture age where you just grow corns all your life. You need to switch like 5 or 6 careers. You're reborn like 6 times during your career. And so you might need a cushion to take that, to basically soften the blow every few years. And so I think the downside is that some people will abuse UBI or stimulus and just become permanently dependent on government. That's not the right way to go. But if they use it conservatively and constructively, that I don't see where that can backfire in a big way. We're already doing it. And this is political, obviously, Clayton, because think about it. What is Medicare? What is Medicaid? Right? That is a bribery to the baby boomers. And now the millennials are becoming bigger than the baby boomers. The government needs to take a look at these people. They're the future of votes. They're going to decide who our presidents are. And so they have kids, and therefore this money is now funneled also into their pockets. You have a baby? Yeah, you have a baby? You can't go to work because of this baby? We'll help you, etc. So mobility is a big part in America. It's a big part. People can't go to work. Single moms can't go to because they need somebody to help them with the kids. So I think that's a big part of what's happening in America. Remember, a third of American workforce today is millennials, but by 2030, it's going to be 75%. 75% of American working families, taxpayers, are going to be millennials. And so the government is double downing on making sure that they're happy. So think about that. Also think about the fact that this generation doesn't own any homes. In general, if you look at millennials, they either rent, live at home. Right. Just a few of them are, in their homes. So big real estate boom. And so this recovery is actually a boom. I don't know if you follow Formula One, but I am an exotic adventure junkie. I've been to 45 countries. Every country I go to, I find like where are the sharks to dive to with, where's this plane that I can jump off of, etc. So if you look at like Formula One, these cars, they can accelerate from 0 to 100 or from 0 to 200 in like 2 seconds, but then they can brake to 0 in 2 seconds and go back to 200 in 2 seconds. So this is what happened to the economy. It went from like full speed to 0 to full speed again. It's not like they had a malfunction in the engine and they were like, pit stop, you have to go in and change something. This was a perfectly good car that just was told, slow down immediately. We're telling you to slow down. There's a problem, not with you, but with the race. There's a dog crossing the track or something, right? Because there's an invisible enemy out there.
Right.
But remember, this is not 2008, where you had all of these problems that were caused by people making wrong choices. This is not what happened. And so that's what you're seeing. You're not seeing a recovery. You're seeing a boom. And this boom will continue. Unemployment rates are still very high. For certain demographics, they're even double what they are for other demographics. And so you will see the Fed continuing to be very easy on monetary policy. They'll keep signaling that inflation is transitory or fleeting, that it's not permanent, it's not going to linger with us. And what they want to make sure is that more people can be hired, because CEOs of companies, if they're thinking, man, high inflation, then they're saying, I'm not going to hire 300 or 400 more people because wages are going to go up on me. I'm going to lose all my profitability. But if the Fed keeps telling them low inflation, this is all just a little period. It will because of supply chains. Once this is all done, you're safe. Then CEOs will hire. So I think that's the fight that's going on right now in the markets. That's why you're seeing, like you said, companies like Apple and Amazon and Google, shattering records because they're able to navigate these waters much better. It's funny that you talked about those three, because if you go to our website, you'll see the top menu. It has like a button that says watch lists, and it's literally my portfolio as it developed from April 2020. So at the height of the panic, I was like, here are the stocks that I'm buying. And we issued this report, and we kept issuing them throughout the year. So you can literally download and see how I thought throughout this time.
Wow.
And about a month ago, I said that the biggest buys right now are Amazon, Apple, and Facebook. And those are the three biggest purchases that I've made in the past month. So it was funny to me that you talked about them. But I can also share a few other ones that are much smaller, obviously.
Mention a few stocks here before we'll get you out of here on that. A few smart buys right now. I'll pull them up on the screen. So everyone at home, pay attention to, Lior's been on the front of this. So, all right, give us some small. I know. That's why you don't get much sleep, but hey, then you bring it to us and we'll share it with our audience. All right, give me a stock symbol that you're following right now.
I'll preface it. I own these companies. That's one. And two, this is good for this day of the recording. Do your own research and do your own homework, etc. And by the way, go to the wealthresearchgroup.com to the watch list, and you can actually get the analysis of these companies that I'm going to mention now. So, one of them is in the healthcare business and industry. Obviously, this is a big industry going forward. Clayton, one of the things people want to know is, hey, I'm, let's say, 40, 50. I don't want to mark you, but what's going on in my veins? What's going on inside of me? I don't want to just know one time a year. I want to know on an ongoing, if there's a problem, if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know about it. So this company is building that type of infrastructure. So the ticker, by the way, is DRIO, Dario Health.
DRIO.
Yeah.
Dario Health.
On that one. Yeah.
Okay,
you talked about online shopping, etc. You should look at a company that just changed their name. That's the one. Oh, yeah, there you go. I just said it. Turned from red to green. So you saw that. Okay, that's magic. Anyways, the second one, I changed their name today. So I don't know, when you free search them, I don't know what you'll come up with. Their
Okay.
real name up until this morning was Mohawk. MOWA MOHAWK. Yeah, Mohawk Group Holdings, exactly. MWK.
Okay,
They changed their name to Ataran. But you may obviously Yahoo Finance is not current on that. But this company does AI, a lot of AI inside of Amazon. And so if you look at like if you click on that 6 month or a 1 year, you'll see what that company is already done. They went from like $6 when we covered them for the first time in December. As you see, December 1st, we said this is a good time, and boom, went like from 6 to 40. Very lucky, obviously.
wow.
And I obviously did not ride the whole thing, but I just got in again, like 2-3 days ago. So that's another one that I think.
Yeah, because
is
if they're
important.
tied to Amazon, and
Absolutely.
you see Amazon exploding. So what kind of
on
AI?
Amazon.
AI
So
on Amazon.
They're running like a gazillion algorithms in order to optimize everything that's happening on Amazon. So just read about go to our website, click on that watch list tab, and you can download the report that has that ticker and all of the analysis that was done on it. I think that's more valuable than me, giving a small elevator pitch on it. So that's another one. And I think the third one, think with me on this. You got all these people from Bank of America, from Wells Fargo, from all these sensitive industries. They're at home and they're working from their own personal computer. They're, the problem with cybersecurity these days is absolutely unbelievable. Cyber companies are so essential to this work from home, really essential. One company that I like is called Checkpoint Software. Been around for many years. They're actually been around since the 90s, but they have not enjoyed a lot of the growth that was in this sector in the past year. So if you look at cyber, they're one of the best, they're one of the most attractively priced of them all. So I like them. I like them actually. I think around $117 is where I got in, because it hasn't moved in the last month or 2 months. So that's a company that I would be researching, doing my own due diligence on, understanding, not just freely going and doing something about it right now, but thinking about it, researching it. You can look at our research, as I said, on our website. I think in the end, what I found out, Clayton, at least in my life, I've looked all the time to build relationships with people that I can never be like. Okay? I don't know if that makes sense, but
right.
The way I started in business is I found out a partner. I connected with a partner who I believed was a wizard, and that is how I tied my fate to him, and how we started many businesses together. I did the same thing with investments. And so a lot of these watch lists that you're going to download are from hedge fund managers, legit hedge fund managers that I have connected with, that I have an existing relationship with. And that's what I like. And then what came to me was, why don't I just share this? I do this anyways. I do this for my own sake, right? For my personal life. Why don't I share everything that's going on in a free newsletter? That's how it was birthed. I was like, I can empower other people just like you do. You speak with, I saw your shows, you speak with CEOs, you read the news. I mean, what you do is not that easily it's not that easy to replicate this. So if somebody's watching this show, he's in 1 hour, he's getting basically everything that you're thinking of for weeks and weeks. So it's a lot of leverage. It really is. So I think that's a great thing that people can capitalize on. The fact that there's so much free information out there. I think the millennials have so much information at their fingertips that it's yeah. These are the watch lists. Absolutely.
And we have the UBI URL on the screen there where you can get that UBI report, wealthresearchgroup.com/UBI, and then you'll get access to your other reports as well. And then check out the watch list there on the page and tap into Lior's vast network of experience and investing knowledge. That's really fantastic. Well, Lior, it's been great having you here on the show today, my friend. We'll have to have you back, in a few months. We can dive deeper into some of what we're seeing as hyperinflation starts hitting and as bigger changes start coming. We'll keep our eye on gold. You gave us some really awesome nuggets here for people to go and research, to do their due diligence on, and see if it's someplace they want to park some of their money. So my thanks to having you come on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet. We'll talk to you real soon. Thanks, Lior. All right. I got tons of notes here. I don't know about you. I was watching David here in the green room, and I'm just like, man, if you think about some of these sectors that now, as the Fed is continuing to pump money, as we continue to see negative interest rates coming, where do you want to have your money? Where do you want to have your family's money? I think a big takeaway that I got is to make sure that some of my money is sitting in precious metals, that if something happens, I mean, David, do you remember, when the stuff hit the fan with Greece like a few years ago, people tried to go to the ATMs and they couldn't get their money out. And the banks were like, sorry, we don't have money. We don't have your money.
It was like the old Wonderful Life, you old savings and loan. Like everybody wanted to, it was a rush on the bank.
Yeah. It's terrifying. So having some of your money in precious metals and real estate and holdings that are outside of this like corrupt government banking system is really important.
One thing that people don't seem to remember, because there's a lot of people that don't actually realize this, but there's never in the history of mankind been a fiat currency that survived. Ever. They've all collapsed. So, yeah, and when you say history repeats itself because people do the same thing over and over expecting a different result, and there's not going to be a different result. This currency will crash, the US dollar.
Yes, it absolutely will. And, look, it's and the way that the currency is set up and the way that our government is set up, it's set up to benefit the wealthy. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's set up to benefit the wealthy. And when you have access to things like cryptocurrency now, you have access to a bank account that the government has nothing to do with. Like, you have access now to your own bank account. It's empowering for people. It's empowering for people who have been on the margins in this economy. It's empowering to be able to invest in cryptocurrency. It's empowering to be able to see enormous growth in your wallet because you get to control it and you're not tied to what the government is doing. So I think we're at an incredible moment right now, an inflection point in our economy. So for all of you that are watching for the first time, our show here, we do this show live every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We have a lot of educational content. I'm going to be doing a lot more here. Please subscribe to the channel. Just taking a little bit of time to educate yourself about this, to learn how to trade, how to start putting some money away, even just starting small, putting $20 and studying how this all works. Today, April 30th there's no 31 days in April, right? There's only 30 days in April, I think, right? Anyway,
that's correct. Today is the last day of April.
So this was Financial Literacy Month. And I think it's incredibly important to have financial literacy and financial intelligence because these things we were not taught in school. So take some time, just read a book. Here's an easy one to pick up. It's called Technical Trading for Dummies and Technical Analysis for Dummies. It's one of the Dummies books. It's a great book. Don't let the title mislead you. It's a really great book, giving you understanding how charts work, understanding how patterns work, all of these things. You should really pay attention to that. So I want to talk real quick here about Amazon, and then we'll look at Bitcoin, then we're going to do some pet photos, and we'll get you out of here on this formal Friday. By the way, I forgot to even mention it's formal Friday around here.
Yeah. How come I never get the memo? Like, it's Flash Friday for me. I did Flash Friday. So I tried. I thought you said flash, you said formal. I just keep missing it every single time.
You said Flash Friday, and I went outside and flashed some people. I didn't know what we were
great.
talking about.
Great. Yeah, I know. That's why it's funny how you never stand up on Formal Friday because you're ashamed of your Speedo. But I guarantee you that Speedo matches that tie. I guarantee it. At least you match. I will give you that.
My silk undies. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wearing today.
Natalie's like, you are not going out with a Speedo that does not match that tie.
Little polka dots. See, I got the nice little blue, this little blue flex here that matches the blue. Nice little pattern going here for you on this Formal Friday. Oh, brother. Let's talk about old Amazon today because, this is an interesting company, and I want to take a different tactic on this. Everyone's kind of praising this company, and that's fine. Amazon reported better than expected results yesterday. And investors who initially pushed his stock up 5% couldn't decide on how to celebrate. I mean, they were flipping out about this. Amazon's e-commerce business specifically was perfectly placed, in this stay-at-home shopping era. It grew its sales by higher than expected, 40% in North America. But though I was struck by this number, 60% internationally, people bought from Amazon internationally. So huge growth overseas. The work from home trend, meanwhile, boosted the company's cloud computing business as well. So that was a huge increase, 32% higher than the same time last year. And Amazon delivered a quarterly profit that basically shook off all of their pandemic-driven elevated costs, and they came in 65% better than expected, as well as sales growth forecasts for this quarter that blew past predictions. Unbelievable. But, here's what I have a problem with, right? So that Amazon's tripling its profits, and yet they're fighting and going at great lengths to keep people from unionizing, keeping people from improving their quality of work while at Amazon. Now, over the past week or so, they quietly increased their salaries for their workers by anywhere from 50 cents up to $3 and because of massive pushback after they fought the Alabama unionizing move, which is good. They increased it a little bit, great. But see, this is what they do, right? Companies like this, they're like, oh, we'll just throw some more money at you. See, we're doing fine. We're going to give you some extra money. Now shut up. Don't unionize. This is like the placating. It's kind of hard to then say, it's kind of hard to turn around and say, I think we need to unionize still. Even though we just got this raise, I still think we have to unionize. And you do. And they should. And Amazon has gone to great lengths to make sure that you cannot unionize. So that, yes, it doesn't take you 15 minutes to go to the bathroom and you lose your entire break because you're walking 15 minutes to get where the break room is, and then you're forced to go to the bathroom in plastic bottles. And working conditions and people being fired for being 1 minute late on a clock or to log in. All you need to do is watch that Nomadland that just won Best Picture, the Frances McDermott movie. She's an Amazon seasonal employee, and just oh my God, these people that are living on the margins, filling up one big box so that you can send a nail clipper from here to Kansas.
Yeah, I just started watching that movie. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I started watching it, and it's really well done. But yeah, I mean, and it's I actually think that a lot of those people in that movie are actual Amazon employees or something. They're real people. You can tell they're not actors. So it just has a real wholesome, real feel to it.
Yeah, I felt that too. I said to Natalie, I don't think these people are actors. I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it was so, it's so wholesome. I mean, it just feels like you're watching somebody's actual life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so painful. I mean, but I think what's so relevant about that movie is that that's how so many Americans are living. So when we talk about this boom, we talk about Amazon tripling its profits and Wall Street's happy, you got to we forget that there are people who are out of work or who are making these companies profitable and who are driving these companies, and we need to take care of them. How is it that these companies can make that much money and these people, can't be taken care of? Pia Amy in our chat says, yes, I worked at Amazon. It was crazy strict. It is Imperial Majesty. It is a depressing movie, but it's fascinating. It really is fascinating.
Well, and the thing is, like, if our country was at a point where, we were like kind of tight and everything, and it was like, okay, we'll take care of people as much as we can. But when you have us spending 10 times more than all other countries combined on war, the 750 some billion, which is getting increased another 20 billion thanks to Biden, it's like there's no justification for not helping in some sense. You know what I mean? Like all these people that argue, well, you're just taking care of people. But the thing is, like, they don't understand or take into consideration, we use that money to kill people every single day. So why would it be such a bad idea to use it to help people?
Right. And that's exactly what Lior's report shows. I put this on the screen. Mark Phillips says that Amazon fired his wife for going to the bathroom.
That's insane.
Unbelievable. I'm going to pull up this book because people are asking the technical analysis book. Let me see if I can find it in my library here. But so when we talk about, Ima says, I would never have known about Webull if it weren't for you guys. Very first trade, I made 190%. $140 profit. Thank you. Awesome. Well, hey, you're the one that did it. We just pointed you in the right direction. Let me show you. You can go to Webull, by the way. If you go to morninginvest.com/Webull, you get 2 free stocks just for opening an account there. And it ranges, you might get an $8 stock, 10, you might get a $200 stock, you might get a $1,000 stock, but then they also enter you into a chance to win premium Google, Microsoft, and Apple stocks as well right now. So morninginvest.com/Webull, WEBULL. That's what you want to do. Check that. So I want to try to find, it's Technical Analysis for Dummies is the name of the book. Let me just zoom in on this a little bit here. Found it here. Technical Analysis for Dummies, 2nd edition. That's what you want to do. By Barbara Rockefeller. So check that out on Amazon, on wherever you want to buy it, on Apple Books, Kindle. Guess, go order it on Amazon, right?
I mean, what's sad is it is so convenient. It's like I wish it was more convenient for me to go get something. So I do what I do now, and I have been doing for like the past year, is I will look on Best Buy first. And if Best Buy has it and I can get it in a timely manner, I'll order from them. But if they don't have it, that's really my only option. I'm definitely not going to buy from Walmart. I don't like Walmart more than I don't like Amazon. So it's just like I'm kind of stuck because I have so many things that I need because I do this production stuff. So I'm usually buying gear, and there's no local place to do it. I can order from B&H in New York, but it takes like 5 to 7 days for me to get it, and I can get it the next day for no extra cost from Amazon. So it's a convenience.
Yeah. And to get some of this technical stuff, I mean, you could go to like Newegg sometimes, find B&H Photo. Most of the time, it's you can't find it unless unless you're on Amazon. Fortunately, a lot of the stuff that we end up buying is through third-party sellers. It's not Amazon exactly. Amazon's just shipping it for them. So
yeah, one of the things that you could do to if you do want to kind of like support smaller people but yet not support Amazon is don't buy Amazon Basics, because Amazon Basics is basically what Amazon trying to put a little person out of business because they see that people are selling a lot of stuff, and so they'll make a version of it to take sales from those people. That's the kind of stuff that pisses me off about Amazon, is that they do that. So I will not buy Amazon Basics anything for that reason.
Yeah. So someone will have I don't know, an outlet or a surge protector or something that they've made, and then Amazon sees that a lot of people are buying this. It has 5-star ratings, and so then Amazon swoops in and buys it themselves or just puts them out of business. I don't know how they exactly do it, but.
So what they do is they just basically create a cheaper version. They source sometimes the same company that the other people source, but they'll source a bunch of them themselves and sell them cheaper to undercut the people that put in money to create those things.
Not surprising at all. Let's check Bitcoin now, shall we? So here's Bitcoin pricing. See what this is doing. Up to 56, surging. Okay, so this breakout is happening, folks. Was watching it before the show to see if this breakout was going to happen, and sure enough, it did. So this means we could see a $63,000 Bitcoin price target.
Son of a... I just pulled out all of it. I
know.
just pulled out everything.
See, that's why you got to listen, man. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't pull out of Bitcoin. So look, 55, and it's heading up. See, we had a breakout here. We had a double bottom. Okay, let me talk patterns here. This is what you learn if you checked out that technical analysis book. You'll see a reverse head and shoulders pattern. Okay, I'm going to explain what that is in a second here, but let's look here. This is a reverse head and shoulders pattern that was happening. And so what we saw here, here's the shoulder. Okay, here's the head. Just think of it like upside down. Okay, here's the other shoulder, head, shoulders. Okay, here's the neckline. See that gray line in the middle? That's the neckline of a reverse head and shoulders pattern. Now, if it wasn't reversed, it would look like, this would be a non-reversed head and shoulders pattern, right? Okay, but this is a reverse head and shoulders pattern. What happens here is you want to always pay attention to the neckline. This area here, this is the neckline going right through. And so we were seeing what was going to happen here. It's hitting resistance. Is it going to break out? Is it going to break out? And look, top of this candle wick is now breaking out. So this is an opportunity if you are, do some research, whatever. If I see the volume coming in as well. And you want to look at some other indicators to make sure that this is truly happening. We can look at, look at Bollinger Bands. Let's take a look at Bollinger Bands width, see how that's looking. So we just want to start to confirm these patterns. But I've been watching this pretty closely over the last few hours, and here we have this breakout. So this is let me go to the 1 hour chart. Look at this 1 hour chart. Okay. Now when you start drilling down 30 minutes, look at this volume coming in here, right here. Breakout. Now this could be a little retest. So here is the line here. Let's keep our eye on this little retest. It might be happening here. So we want to, it's not always 100%. For sure. So you need to pay attention to these patterns. Like okay, we're getting some more support here at this level. And so interesting times here for Bitcoin. Let's go back to that daily chart. Actually, I want to go, yeah. So you see that reverse. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand this reverse head and shoulders pattern? When you see that, something's going to happen. Either it breaks out or it swoops down. So we want to pay attention to what's going to happen here. And
at least in my case, I didn't lose a lot. Like I think if I look at it, I lost about $350. So had I stayed in another couple of days, I'd have made that back. But still, my gut, I'm worried about my gut health right now.
I hear you. So, all right. So that is Bitcoin again, surging, hovering about 55, 56. Might be in a little bit of a retest moment. Now, if the bulls come in here, we want to see if bulls show up and start adding a lot more volume here to support this. So we're getting some additional support for this pattern above that neckline. We just want to make sure that this is happening above this neckline. We want to confirm this. Now, if I'm on a daily chart, that's each of these candle wicks is 1 day, right? So that's not going to help me because I might miss the huge upside. So here's a 30-minute chart, though. Look at that. So if I was down here. I own a lot of Bitcoin, so just saw a huge, nice increase in profits right now. And I might jump more into this right now, to be honest with you. So I'm going to make that decision in a few minutes as I look at these patterns. I hope you find this helpful. Here is Bitcoin at 800. So again, keep your eye on this and look for maybe a little slight retest if it's worth jumping into it for you. If you are into that. if you're into that. We're going to get to pet photos in a second. Like I said yesterday, here was my, I took this pet photo. I took this little picture of Grover when he was just a little puppy. So I'd love to see some of your pet photos today. Here, baby Grover. Little collar doesn't even fit him.
Such a cute dog. These need to be postcards, man.
My wife said, "Can you process the Ava's birthday photos?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so but I had a bunch that I take. You can see how he destroyed some of the wrapping paper on the floor there. And I'm like, "But I put a bunch of Grover in there." She's like, "Those aren't birthday photos." I'm like, "Yeah, but he was there at the party. He was there running and playing in the backyard with the other kids." So, okay. I think that's all of the big stories I wanted to cover for you today on the economy. I wanted to cover Amazon. I wanted to cover what's happening, where you can put your money. Thanks to Lior for joining us on the big show today. I just can't believe Amazon continues to run away with these numbers. We'll get to some pet photos here in a second.
When we have some super chats too, and I just went in there to grab them, and YouTube refreshed. So now I got to come over here into YouTube and get them all. So
right, let me grab some pet photos here. By the way, Steve Forbes weighing in. I'm going to listen to this a little bit first, and then we'll get to your pet photos. Steve Forbes weighing in, billionaire Steve Forbes weighing in on Joe Biden's tax plan, and he thinks that, well, of course, what do you think? He thinks he disagrees with it. Take a listen.
His tax plan, though, is fundamentally flawed in two big ways. First, while the president portrays his tax increases as hitting only the rich, they would actually end up severely slowing an economy that is ready to roar. In fact, combined with likely money printing mistakes from the Federal Reserve, they could throw the economy into a decline next year. That would be profoundly demoralizing and destructive for a nation eager to get moving forward after this deadly, debilitating pandemic, and it would be political poison for Democrats. Doubling the capital gains tax would reduce future federal revenues because people would be discouraged from selling existing assets since so much of the money would go to the government. Every time the capital gains levy is boosted, receipts go down, not up. That would also mean less capital being deployed for the creation and development of new products and services that enrich everyone. Imagine a world without handheld devices like the iPhone. Boosting the corporate tax to the highest in the developed world would leave less money for expansion, less money for shareholders. Remember, most stocks are held for retirement plans and endowment funds for nonprofits, and higher prices in the marketplace. The second big flaw of the president's approach is believing that devoting tens of billions of dollars for more IRS audits of big companies, estates, and wealthy individuals will yield a bonanza of new revenue. The problem here is not lack of enforcement, but rather the incomprehensibly complex code itself. Almost all the stories you read of certain companies and wealthy individuals paying low or no taxes are the result of legal strategies afforded by the current federal income tax monstrosity. The solution.
Yeah, but Steve, you missed a few key points there. That's fine. They don't pay taxes because of tax loopholes, and that's the way the tax code is structured. But many of the people aren't paying taxes altogether, or they're hiding money, and they're getting away with it because they're not being audited, and they get away with it. And that's where the revenue would come from. It's not from the tax code itself. It's from money that actually is supposed to be sent to the government. So you're wrong on that point. And you're also wrong on, can you imagine us not having handheld iPhones like Apple would make if we have a higher corporate tax? Guess what? Apple was formed during the years when we had the highest corporate tax rate in the late 70s. So Apple became a company in that environment, created the Mac, launched the personal computing revolution under that high tax code. So Steve, I hate to impart some wisdom to you, Mr. Forbes, but you, my friend, are incorrect on a number of key points here. Thanks for weighing in, Mr. Forbes. All right, we got some pet photos I wanted to get to. Let's do it, shall we? All right, here is Alice, Cincinnati, Ohio. Megan McQuitty sent this one in. Thank you for sending that. Almost looks like a statue, doesn't it? A statue.
It does. What did you say?
Here
That
is-
McQuitty. Do you remember? Did you ever see? Remember Passamaquoddy?
No.
Passamaquoddy, Passamadassi, like Pete's Dragon, Disney.
Oh, past Pete's Dragon. That's right. Yeah. McQuitty. Megan McQuitty. I like that name. It sounds like a movie star.
Hey, we've seen that one before.
Oh yeah. I think did we see? No, we didn't see this.
Oh my gosh.
Is a macaw. Devin is a bonnet macaw in a swimming pool. Wow.
I thought a macaw was a parrot. So they have
Me
a monkey
too.
called a macaw too.
Or is a macaque? See, Macaque. Am I saying macaw?
McHugh. I think I
McHugh?
think it is McHugh or something like that. Now that sounds familiar.
Wow. Oh, adorable. Oh, I love this Beatles names. Look, Eleanor and Rigby.
Nice. Okay, now that I love.
That's cool. That is from Megan McQuitty as well.
My
Love that.
Chihuahua's name is Abby after the Abbey Road album.
Jack. Jack, man, they have a lot of that. This is Megan McQuitty as well in Cincinnati, Ohio. So they've got Eleanor and Rigby. They've got Jack. Is Jack or Beatles? Is there any Jack from Beatles songs?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
Maybe Jack came pre-named.
Right. This is No Name. I love, literally, someone sent this it says No Name .jpeg. No name. So if you know your cat's name, share it with us in the chat today, would you? Here is Phantom from Laura Jeter.
We've seen that before.
Oh, yeah, we saw this one. I don't know what. Maybe she moved him over to this folder, but I had a few from this week that I didn't get to. Weirton, West Virginia. Prince from Richard Allen. Ooh, so Richard sent he has some older photos he sent in. I wonder how old that photo is. Richard, are you watching right now?
I
If you're
mean,
in the
that's got to
chat.
be 50s, 60s, right?
Yeah, I would think 50s or maybe even earlier. Prince. Oh yeah, we've seen this one. Sam, Anna, and James. Sam, Anna, James, Birmingham, Alabama. Black Hills of South Dakota. You should have named him Rocky Raccoon, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. How's it going? Black Hills of South Dakota. There
lived a young boy named Rocky
Raccoon.
One day his woman ran off with another guy.
Owners Bailey and Pam. That's it for that folder. Let me go back here. I've got the 28th. I've got a bunch of photos here. Oh, Miles. Miles, the 3-month-old Maine Coon. Oh, see, I'm telling you, I want a Maine Coon. Natalie, are you watching right now?
Look at those eyes.
Look at
Beautiful.
that little guy. And I think his name is Miles, which is our son's name. Miles, but they spell with a Y. Tim and Linda McKinney from Harrison, Arkansas. Cute. Oh, I love it. And let's see, Cody. This is from, it's a Bichon Frise. Is that how you say it? 7 years old. From Andy Bank. My best friend Cody. Yeah, it's Cody is the name of the dog.
Elizabeth Fox says if you get a Maine Coon, it's going to be bigger than Grover.
I think you're probably right. A few here too from today's folder. Let me go through this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Chihuahua from Bibu from Angie, Santa Cruz. New Hampshire. This one's from Shelley Heistrom. This is Bella. It's like a glamour shot photo, huh?
Yeah.
It's so cute. Let's see. Here's another one from Sherry Heistrom. This is Bentley. Two doggies there. Karen Atwood, Narragansett, Rhode Island. This is Buttons.
It should be named Jerry, like Jerry Garcia. Kind of looks like his hair.
Cute. Chubby Angie, or is it just Chubby? She says Chubby Angie. Look at those teeth. It's a female Chihuahua from Phoenix, Arizona. Oh no, Chubby and then Angie from Santa Cruz sent this in, I think. So Chubby is the name of the dog. Chubby doesn't look very chubby though.
Mm-mm.
Chubby looks tiny.
Yeah.
Ooh, Coco. This is a
That
Shiba
looks like
Inu.
yes, Shiba Inu. Those are beautiful dogs.
That's a Dogecoin. That's the Dogecoin dog, by the way. From Yasiri in California. Coco, the Shiba Inu. Yeah, that's the Shiba Inu of Dogecoin. Here is Cody again. This is the Bichon Frise, 7 years old, from Andrea Bank. Thank you. Finn. It's a 5-month-old golden doodle from Leah Oldham. Is Leah watching today? Give us a shout out in the chat, Leah, if you are. Finn is a 5-month-old. And here's Gracie from Karen Atwood in Narragansett, Rhode Island. So I'm seeing a pattern here. People can't just get one animal. You know? Kaylee, all grown up from Chicago, from Kathy LaCroix. Kaylee, cute. That looks like the puppy from the movie As Good as It Gets.
I was gonna say that too, but it doesn't look like one of those. I think they're called griffins or something griffin. I can't remember what it is, but they look very similar. But I don't think that's what that is. But that's an amazing movie though. If anybody's never seen that.
Verdell is the name of the dog, right? Verdell in that movie.
Yeah.
Over a dog. We always say that when I'll be like, no, we got to get home because Grover and Natalie or I will take a line from that movie. Got to get home over a dog. Marley is a brown lab and bulldog mix. Mary Meyer. A Chorky.
Yeah.
Owasso, Michigan. Sarge is a Chiweenie. Oh, he passed away a year ago from Lori Smileton in Lake Park, Georgia. A Chiweenie. Rocky. You knock him down. Why don't you try knocking me down? Mary Meyer. Wasso, Michigan. It's my Chihuahua. Her name is Honey from Alan Schmidt in Mesa, Arizona.
Now that one should be Chubby.
Right, that's Chubby. Chubby Chihuahua, Honey. That's cute. Violet, black long-haired cat, Violet, from Mary Meyer. See, again, multiple pets in this family from Owasso, Michigan, Mary Meyer. And that's, I believe, all the pet photos I have today. I got up to this. Yep, I did. All right, so that's all the pet photos. If you'd like to send some pet photos in, our Shia on our team will go through. So you got to send them to pets@morninginvest.com is the email address to send it to, pets@morninginvest.com. And we will feature some of the pet photos here. Are you going to put it up on the screen?
Yep.
Hear that?
Yep, hear my typing. Usually I mute when I do that. There we go.
Yeah, pets@morninginvest.com. Send those in. Kathy LaCroix. Kristen says, I tried that and it wouldn't work. You tried sending to that email address? It works. Pets@morninginvest.com.
Yeah, my Grogu photo went through.
Yeah, all these people sent them in yesterday. So just got to sometimes make sure that your photo size isn't too big. That could be an issue that some email providers, if your photo size is too big, it might not go through.
And just to be clear, somebody in chat said earlier that try taking any humans out of the photos and make it smaller. That does not affect the size. Just so you know, it's the camera. It doesn't matter what all's in the photo. That doesn't make it bigger. So, like, if you have a picture that you're wanting to send, you can take it and upload it to like Facebook or something and then download it, and that actually will make it smaller. Or you can, there's other ways that you can make it smaller.
Yeah, here's a website I often use, picresizer.com, or go to picresize.com. Let me show you this website. And sometimes, so this is picresize.com. All you do is you go there, you drag your photo right onto it, and then you can continue to edit the picture, and you can tell it. So let me see if I can find a photo here. on my desktop.
Because a lot of times when your photos come out big out of your phone, even if you take it on like an iPhone, they can be really big with these newer phones. And so we have to limit the size of the email box. Otherwise, it would be insane for storage, and that costs money to keep big items on a server. So that's why we have to do that.
Yeah, so here's a photo that I found that I was processing the other day of my father, my dad, who passed away in January. That's with my niece on his shoulders when we were doing some hiking. So I would take that photo, which is a pretty large photo, and I just would drag it right here into Pick Resizer. Okay, then continue to edit the picture. Click that, and then you can pick the size. Like you can make it 50% smaller, 25% smaller, whatever. And then once you're done, you just come down here and click done, and then it'll give you a downloadable version of it. So anyway, if you have a really large, nice camera style photo, like that you took it with like a really nice camera, like 42 megapixels or something like that.
That's a lens. That's a lens.
I was trying to find the camera body. I don't have the body.
Yeah.
Imagine there's a camera.
If you guys take it with a really good sized camera, just make sure that you downsize it.
If you use a camera, take some good photos, make
hair
sure
gel.
like this. Gorilla Glue. No, I've got a
AKA hair gel.
Yeah. I've got a project later today. you probably do this, but got a whole bunch of Velcro, and I'm going to be for fixing cables in the studio today, so I can get cable management out of the way. So I've got some Velcro and Gorilla Glue, and cable management is going to be this weekend. Velcro.
I use these. These are great because they're Velcro, but they wrap around, and then you can put it around things and pull it tight.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those too.
Buy tons of those on Amazon.
Alfonso Lopez says, thank you for the teaching on investing, Clayton. Dave, the info from yesterday's lady about curing migraines, please. I'll send you tacos in exchange.
The info. Oh, I typed that in, but then I didn't do anything with it. So I'm sorry, I still got to do more research on that. It's some kind of new technology, and I typed it into the search, and then I had it pulled up, and then last night I closed down the production. I forgot that thing was open. I can go through my history and find it, but I don't even remember what it was. It was some kind of electrotherapy or something like that.
Oh, Kristen, that's so sweet. Do you need a volunteer to take pet photos off your plate? I'm willing to volunteer and host them on my own Gmail. I appreciate that, but trust me, you do not want this flooding your own Gmail. No, I would never do that to somebody. We had to set up
we could set up a Google Photos thing that's public, and people can just drag them in there. Then they can put whatever size they want. But you'd have to go through and sort them by day, and then it could show everyone from the day, and then that would just people can just drag and drop it right to a Google folder, and we could make a shortcut morninginvest.com/pets. And forward it to that, and then they could just upload them there, and then you wouldn't even have to get them emailed. Nobody would have to do anything.
We'll have to figure that out.
I can set that up in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Any more super chats? Someone said you're not reading super chats?
Yeah, we got a lot of super chats.
Oh, let's get to them. Yeah, I read some. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Teresa Gilmore super chat. Thank you. Evening Sky. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you. The Veg $5. Thank you. Kyle, Kyle Leadham. Hey, you handsome SOB. Any realistic chance of another stimulus? Not just family stimulus. David, keep being a reflection of a perfection, big guy.
Now, when you're talking about handsome, are you talking about David or myself? I want to be clear.
Because I clearly was not on camera when that came in. So, and you're wearing a tie. You're on Formal Friday. I'm on Flash Friday. I don't think Flash Friday deserves those kind of comments. So yeah.
I think we're absolutely going to have more stimulus. I think there's no doubt about it. And I think when we see these GDP numbers today that are, the economy is booming because of stimulus and because of the amount of money that's been funneled into people's hands where they've been actually able to help businesses and get back out there. But look, we're going to see a whole round of new stimulus starting real soon, probably by July. We'll see all the new child tax credits. We're going to see the earned income tax credit. We're going to see free public college. We'll see if there's a student loan evaporation plan that takes place once Bernie Sanders and the rest of the Democrats get their hands on this thing over the next few weeks. Remember that the Senate, the Congress is out for another week. They're on vacation because they need another vacation. So when they get back, it's going to be all hands on deck to do that. Oh, Rich Allen says Prince was from the early 1950s in that picture. I'm 73 now. Thank you, Rich.
Wow, that's awesome. Bill Stillman. Hey, Clayton and David. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm pretty sure I have COVID. My family has it too.
Oh, no. So you got vaccinated, then you get COVID.
Yeah. Steve Walker, can you explain more on Binance, the crypto pairs?
Sure. So pairing it's a little complicated, and I don't want you to get too sidetracked with it. At the beginning of my trading journey, got sidetracked with it. But when you buy into let's go to Binance. When you buy into a crypto, they're paired up, meaning they're paired with what you're going to either buy it with or what you're going to sell it with later. So imagine you buy or you have a certain coin. You can choose to sell it into Bitcoin. Like when you sell it, how do you want to take your profits? Do you want to take it as Bitcoin, or do you want to sell it into USDT, which is basically it's Tether, which is basically like US dollar, kind of one for one? You want to put it in Tether, or do you want to put it into Bitcoin after you sell your stake in Dogecoin? Whatever coin you're going to use. So when you go to Binance, you'll notice that there are these pairings, just like any crypto. You'll see Doge, right? How do I want to buy Doge? Do I want to buy Dogecoin with BUSD? Do I want to buy it with... so when I click on this, basically it's saying, how are you going to pay for Doge? Okay, I'm going to use BUSD to buy Doge. That's what this means. Okay, so if I click on this and I go to buy it down here, so if I'm going to buy Doge, okay, how much in BUSD coin am I going to buy Doge with? Okay. And that's what I would do. Now I can come up here and I can make a change, and I can say, well, I don't want to buy it with with BUSD. I want to buy it with USDT, or I want to buy it with Bitcoin. So you can trade different pairings, and that's how you do it. And then when you sell it, it's the same thing. What do I want to sell it as? Do I want to sell it back into Bitcoin? Well, what if Bitcoin has taken a dump? Maybe you don't want to sell it into Bitcoin. So maybe you want to sell it into some other coin, USDT or Ethereum, so you have the choice on these things. So don't get caught up in this. When you're buying this, it's just like, what is it more attractive for someone who wants to then buy the coin from you? Remember, it's an exchange, right? It's just like trading stocks. It's like what you're doing is you're putting a sell order out there, and you're hoping that someone will take you up on it. And so in a lot of times, there might be a coin pair that someone would rather have. If you're selling it, they'd rather say, hey, I'll give you USDT for Dogecoin. But Bitcoin might be, tanking, so you might not have a chance to. So there's just some of the pairings when you're selling it is really where it's more important. And then you kind of decide, how do you want to take your profits? And is it better for you to then seek refuge in Bitcoin after you sell it, or sell it in USDT or some other form, some other currency?
Tony Breeden, the point of the vaccine is to keep you from having severe cases of COVID if you get it, and not have to go to the hospital and die. I mean, if you have it, I don't know how the vaccine would stop you from having it worse. You know what I mean? If you have it.
Right.
On Point Fashion, super chat, thank you. Brizzy864, why is no one talking about the 24 years and younger $500 child tax credit for all you all do? Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, hopefully I did. We did talk about the child tax credit. And someone was asking about single people, well, I'm single and I don't have any kids, what about me? And the question of whether or not you're going to see additional stimulus checks, it's hard to say. I don't think we're going to see straight up another $1,200 check being sent out. I just don't see it. I wish they would, given the economic returns that we've seen as a result of it and what it's done to the economy, I just don't think that there's much appetite for that again from those middle of the road Democrats who are going to be the biggest headache for Biden.
Well, and to be clear, when you say what it's done for the economy, it was basically like saying what it's done for Wall Street. Because it really hasn't helped Main Street that much.
Right, exactly. So small businesses got crushed. People lost their jobs. Well, I guess we could say that because people are heading back out, and maybe it's not even that. It could be just people, heading back out. So the restaurants are reopening. It's
well, the ones that made it through, the over 100,000 of them didn't make it through.
Right. Yeah.
So, Lisa Pettit, can you give me the name of the dummy book? I need this so much. Thanks for everything you do. Learning slowly. So am I, Lisa.
Here it is. Technical Analysis for Dummies. Don't be put off by the title. But it's a really good book, and it'll teach you how to understand these patterns. What are these patterns? What does this look like? Understanding how this, you want to make money, you got to just spend the time with the financial education. We were never taught this in school, so it's what you got to do.
I mean, I look back and I think of like what was I taught in school that I still use besides the English language to this day? Hardly any of it. Like I didn't learn any financial stuff. I didn't learn any. I mean, we didn't even really learn sex ed, in my opinion. Like it was like, here's condoms. There you go. We didn't learn what to do with them. You know what I mean? Like they just do not educate in this country, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had to learn that on my own. I just had to go out there,
Yeah, me too. Just figure it out.
How does all this work?
I would have never known about Weeble if it weren't for you guys. Okay, we saw that one. Yosoy Voltron, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Okay, we got that one. Tony Jocelyn, Clayton, I have a personal finance question. How do I reach you to set a meeting? Thanks. Love the show.
Well, I don't
I responded and said that it's so hard for you to do. If you did a personal meeting with everybody who wants to do a personal meeting with you, you would you'd have zero time on your hands. You literally would be walking around in a Speedo because you'd never have time to get dressed.
No, I mean, what I do have is a company where we do full service rental real estate at Morris Invest, and people can book a call there. But I have a team that will walk you through buying a property with our team. And like the minimum down payment for one of our properties, new construction with a tenant in place, is going to be about $40,000 to $45,000. And then we have financing built in for the rest of it. So if you're interested in that, you could set up a time to book a call with our team there just go to morrisinvest.com. Let me pull the website up here. morrisinvest.com. And then that way you can book a call with our team if you're interested in investing in real estate. So let me pull that up. Here's the...
And while you do that, Zachary Mangum had a super chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can also get our Freedom cheat sheet if you'd like when you're there on the website. Anyway, yeah, so if you'd like to book a call, this is what we do. We're building about 400 of these this year. And they're cash flowing from day one. When you buy it, you own the house fully outright, and it's cash flowing in some of our best rental markets in the country as a hedge against inflation. So as you know, you can go here and check out our testimonies. You can watch our welcome video. You can see what we do. So again, that's morrisinvest.com and book a call. And that's how you jump on right there for 30 minutes.
Sunshine Speaks. Clayton, I have a business loan company, MCA, and alternative financing, SBL, business loans. Just some info for everyone.
Okay, great.
Alfonso Lopez, thank you for the teaching on investing, Clayton. Dave, the info from yesterday's lady about... Okay, I read that one already. Yvonne McCourt, did you say to do a cash or margin account on Weeble? Just can't remember. Also, I watch you for news and you alone. Thanks for opening our eyes.
Thank you so much. A cash account. When you're on Webull, a cash account is best because margin is really advanced trading. I don't even do margin trading, and I'm not even an advanced trader to begin with, but I don't do margin trading. That's like the guys with 8 screens in front of them, and they're, that's not what I do. So a cash account is what you want to do, in my opinion.
Tony Breeden, just because you don't understand it, David, doesn't mean it doesn't work. Just like that. LO, not being a smartass. But the thing is, like, I don't suggest that it doesn't work. It's just like I am not somebody who has a ton of capital that I can just like throw out there and hope that it works. Some of that capital I put in there was still working capital that I need to run my business. So, I was thinking I could put some in and then just keep scraping a little bit of the profits off to put back into my working capital.
Yep. Now it's at 56.
Jeez. 2 days.
See?
If I could have waited 2 days.
Yep. You would have not only made your money back, you would have made more money.
Yep. Yeah. Barbara, wait. If a vaccine is 90% effective, 10 million vaccinated, 300,000 in the acceptable fail rate, right? I mean, my opinion is that the news isn't out yet. I mean, people are still just now getting vaccinated. So to say that, the last number that they say is potential 6,000 people getting it after the vaccine, that's still too early. I mean, there's still people that are still on their first vaccination. So it's really too early to be able to even speculate on those numbers.
Yeah, I think we just don't know. I mean, talking to my doctor friends, they're just like, well, here's what we have right now. Here's the data we have right now. So
I do find it funny that Texas opened up and there hasn't been a increase. There's actually been a decrease, and it just kind of makes me feel like, somebody said in the chat earlier that the Oregon is going on lockdown again. I haven't heard that. I'm in Washington State, just above there. I haven't heard that, but if that's true, like it's like they're going backwards. If Texas is succeeding being open, then
Stephen Parsons on Facebook says, I have Robinhood. It's pretty good. I have a personal bias against Robinhood now after what they did to all of those traders regarding GameStop and AMC. So that's why I'm on Webull. No company's perfect, but at the very least, like I think that Webull, and plus they give you 2 free stocks instead of 1. Robinhood gives you 1, but just think that they're a better company.
All right, that's all the super chats we got.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll have another video later today. I'm looking at some Ethereum news. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and then turn on that little bell notification down there, because that way you can be notified when we publish a new video. But I'm going to be watching closely some of this Ethereum news, and this might be one of those opportunities right now to jump into Ethereum before it hits $20,000 to $30,000. If you were kicking yourself about Bitcoin, don't kick yourself again. So pay attention to the numbers, do your homework and research, and watch this video today on Ethereum. And remember, you don't have to buy the full cost of a coin, right? Like the full cost right now of a Bitcoin is 56,000, right? For one Bitcoin. But you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy $10 of a Bitcoin. Start small, and study these charts. Read the book on technical analysis. Start to learn how these things move and shake. Start to understand these patterns. Like yesterday, Schrodinger, I showed you this bio company. This is a perfect cup and handle pattern. To be studying and seeing where you're going to get these breakouts, and then jumping into it. So thanks everyone for joining us on this Friday, Freitag, as we say in German. Have a great weekend.
Friday.
Formal Friday.
The formal
Freitag.
Flash Friday.
Now everyone go out there and flash people on Formal Flash Friday. Tell them that David
I'm flashing everybody today. See, I'm flashing you right now, everybody.
I don't even want to know. Much love to all of you. We'll see you back here once again this afternoon with another video. And yeah, we'll have content all weekend for you. And thanks, everyone. See you next time.